Good afternoon.
Hope that woke you up.
Yeah, did we wake you up? Yeah. All right. I'm Mark Weitzel, General Manager of New Relic One, and my team at New Relic has built and delivered many of the capabilities that you've seen throughout the day, dashboards, some of the chart builder stuff that Mia will talk about, as well as a lot of the programmability capability.
Hi, I'm Mia Isaacson. I'm the product manager in Mark's group, like you just said. And I own Insights and some of the dashboarding experience in New Relic One.
So this presentation that we're going to talk about is really going to start telling you, so quick show of hands, how many folks before today have heard about New Relic One? All right, keep your hands up. How many use it on a regular basis? Okay. So as we start talking about New Relic One, this is where, as a company, we're starting to deliver all of our innovation. You can see that with some of the logs. You see that with programmability, some chart builders that we'll go through today. And this is, over time, in the next little while, going to start to be your default experience of New Relic. And it's going to be how you engage with the platform. And so today, we're going to give you an orientation to New Relic One so you can start your journey adopting New Relic One and using it inside of your environment today. All right, so let's take a quick look at this. All right, so.
You are not showing a lot.
I know. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. All right. All right. So.
Still no.
So there's New Relic One. This is the homepage of New Relic One. This is where you're going to start interacting with all of the entities and the things that you observe. And so one of the things that we did with New Relic One is we made search much easier and more powerful to find things. So quick show of hands, how many have multiple accounts of New Relic? Okay, so perfect. You're my people. So one of the things that you can do with New Relic One is actually search very quickly across all of your accounts. And this is very powerful as you start to look for things, especially in troubleshooting situations. So if I start to look at, let's see, web proxy, or let's do proxy here. You can see I start to have all of the things across the account. So if I look on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see that there are actually multiple accounts that this is going and looking across. But also, there's multiple kinds of things that you're starting to see inside of here. So you're starting to see dashboards, you're starting to see services, you're seeing the hosts that are in there. So all of these things make it very quick and easy to find what you're looking for inside of New Relic One. So I'm going to go ahead and select an entity here. And so I've selected the proxy, and this is really this notion of having an entity-centric or entity context of things. And this is going to be your entry point into looking at and exploring all of the capability that you have. So for example, one of the things that I have here is I have the notion of distributed tracing. I have the notion of looking at the logs, all of the capability that we have here. So this is really orienting me into the New Relic and into that observability. So if I want to go further and dig down into that, for example, my transactions, this is going to take me back to the classic experience that we have here. So we're not taking anything away from you in the experience that you may have worked with before, for example, in APM. And it's very quick and easy to get back to New Relic One as we go through this. So here, I've gone from New Relic One. I found the entity that I'm looking for through global search. I've now looked at the overview page, and now I've dug into that where I have deeper information available in NR1. And again, it's very easy to find and get back to this because I can jump right here back to the New Relic One homepage. So this is the first start of finding things and becoming very entity-centric inside of New Relic One. And it's a great way to find and explore all of your data inside of that, because we know NRDB is the richest set of observability data on the planet. So using entities helps you find data and work with your data.
And you guys, as our customers, tell us that our data is extremely valuable. And whether that is coming from our agents that you install and we just start reporting and showing you what's going on with your systems, or when you do custom instrumentation to send custom events and attributes to us to surface business data or digital customer experience data. And now, like Jim talked about in the keynote, we're like amping that up now by collecting metrics, events, logs, and traces all in one place. And so when we talk with customers about their usage of dashboards and querying data and their comfort in that, we tend to see some patterns. And that pattern looks like a couple key people in an organization who really understand the data model very well. They're able to ask questions, get answers that they're confident in, and they tend to build and curate dashboards for themselves and other people in their organization. Does this sound familiar? Some of you are probably those people, those go-to people. And then the other side, the rest of the organization are consumers of that data. And we truly believe that data should be accessible and approachable by anyone in your organization using New Relic. And so I was extremely privileged to work on Chart Builder, which is, as Mark mentioned, exclusive to New Relic One. And with Chart Builder, we believe that anyone in your organization can approach data with confidence. And so as companies either start or continue their digital transformation, we know that in a digital economy, you have to play offense in order to win. And you have to look at driving your business, not just your systems. And so what used to be, how many errors is this application having, turns into, well, how many errors is it happening? How many people are being affected by that? And taking it even further, how much revenue are we potentially losing when these errors are going off? And so I want to go through a couple scenarios with Chart Builder and just show you what you can do. So let's say, for example, you own a web application and you're going to be doing a global product launch and rolling that out by geographic location. And you just want to understand how your web app is performing so that you don't deliver a new experience or a new product on top of a poor experience, because that wouldn't be good. So you know that you've instrumented with browser, but you may not be super familiar with what data is there and what questions you could be asking. And so where do you start? So you start with Chart Builder. And Chart Builder is right up here, meaning it's accessible from anywhere in New Relic One. So if you are looking at a dashboard and you have a question, it's right here. If you're on an entity overview, you have a question, it's right there. So open this up, go to basic mode. And if I click in this dropdown, I can start to see that there are different event types. And if I scroll down, I can see that there's definitions for these. So I can become more familiar with the data that's available in New Relic. And so I know that there's a browser interaction event. So I'm just going to type browser, and it matches on browser interaction. And I'm going to scroll down and just see what's here. And I see first paint, and maybe this is a good data point to see how my customers are experiencing my website, right? And choose average. And it's really that easy to now create a chart. And since we're rolling out by geographic location, I know that I can facet by country code, which will distribute that across, or not distribute, slice and dice that data according to country code. And I'm going to also increase the time range so that I can see a pattern or trend. And I can obviously see that there is something, not sure if it's good or bad, but something going on with my users in Great Britain. And so what I can do with this is, before I roll out, I may want to address that. I may want to just go and look at it, see if it's actually something that needs to be fixed before we roll out to that location. And then I can add it to a dashboard. Oops. And I'm just going to add to this dashboard. And that way I can share that with other members of my team, management, continue adding to that dashboard as we go. So during the keynote, again, we announced the metric API, which is really exciting. And that really means that, again, we can start collecting metric data from all sorts of third-party sources using open standards, right? And that includes things like Prometheus. And as we send more and more data, things can be difficult to find. Like when you start sending data from something like Prometheus, you could be looking at hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of metrics. And you may know the name of the metric that you're looking for. You may know a dimension or an attribute. But you also know that dimensions and attributes are shared across metrics. So again, how do you find what you're looking for? And so we feel like we came up with a really approachable solution to this problem. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the metrics tab in the basic mode. And I can see all the metrics that are being reported to my account. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm looking for, but I know that I want to see all the metrics that are reporting a code 200. So I'm going to go over to the filter, type in 200, and it's going to match on it. So code 200. And what this is going to do is actually affect this dropdown and limit, or basically filter down this dropdown to only the metrics that are reporting a code 200. So now you can take this wide breadth of data that you're reporting in and work with it that way, or you could say, I only care about this one thing, show me all the things that have to do with that. Then I can click on that, and again, super easy to create a chart, and now you've just created a chart not using a query language. And now I just want to change the chart type to a bar chart, and I can see all the chart types that are available to me. So we've increased the transparency of what you can do with the visualizations, and we've also provided some guidance on when you should be using one chart type versus another. And so as you become more proficient with building charts and dashboards, you want to be able to move a little bit faster, maybe. And so you can always flip over to see the query that you've just created to start getting more familiar and comfortable with NERCL. And so we've queried events, which include traces, and I just showed an example of metrics. And now that we're collecting logs as well, wouldn't it be great to do all of that in one place? And you can. You can do that, again, using Chart Builder. So I'm going to clear this out and just do a quick example of this. Count star from log. Oops. It's 1 day ago until 1 hour ago. Time series to make it a line chart. And then I'm going to facet by message. And so now this is going to show me all of my logs, a count of all my logs by message. And I'm going to make this a lovely area chart because it's prettier. And now I can add that to a dashboard. So now you can have not only charts coming from different source accounts, right, on one dashboard, but you can now represent metrics, events, logs, and traces for your applications and systems on a single dashboard, which is awesome. So since we're talking about dashboards, I want to briefly just show what we've done with dashboards in New Relic One because we think it's a superior experience, and we want everybody using dashboards in New Relic One. So the first thing you'll notice is that you can just see more. We've gone from 3 columns to 12 columns. You can put so much more in one view. We have re-implemented the filtering and faceting. So what this does is if you have a faceted chart, you can actually filter your entire dashboard by that facet. So I've faceted by US, so now all the charts on here are going to be filtered by the US region or country code. We've done things like consistent facet colors. Jeez. So now when you have facets, for example, these 3 time series charts, tablet, mobile, and desktop, when these are side by side, all the tablet facets are the same color. All the desktop facets are the same color. You're now more easily able to visually correlate data across multiple charts. We've implemented things like drag to zoom so that you can zoom in on something that may look problematic and snap your entire dashboard to that time window. We have implemented a better dark mode and a better kiosk mode, so full screen, really high contrast, again, with that increased data density to really make it pop. And so those are just a few of the new features in dashboards. And really, at the end of the day, we're striving to create a really exceptional dashboarding experience that combined with the New Relic data will allow you to drive your business.
That was awesome. So how many people love the new dashboards in New Relic One? All right. That's awesome. But sometimes you have to go
beyond
dashboards,
yeah.
right? And that's really about programmability. How many have stopped by the hacker bar? How many are gonna stop by the hacker bar? Okay, so as we think about New Relic and we think about having all of that connected data inside of our NRDB, which is massively scalable, real-time metrics, time series database, you now have access to all that information programmatically. And so what do I mean by that? As you come to New Relic One, you can see that we've got a collection of what we call launchers on the bottom of the screen here. And these are the ways that we extend and add capability into New Relic. And you have full access to the New Relic data and the New Relic programming model as well. And a big part of the reason we did this is to enable the innovation that you have inside of your company. Quick show of hands again. How many are familiar with React or have used React? Okay, so again, very common internet technologies that are available to you now to write code that's gonna live inside of the New Relic application. So let's take a look at what some of the things look like here. So you've seen some of Cloud Optimize earlier today. So one of the things I'm going to look at here is I'm going to go back to our web portal. Web portal, here we go. That was one of our favorites. So I'll just grab that. And again, I talk about having this notion of an entity context here. And a reason we have the entity context is we want to add the same capability that we have here in New Relic. We want to provide the same set of extension points to you. So you can see that what we end up having here is we have the extension points along here. And so let's take a look at one of the applications that we can go off and build that will have this. And these are very, very easy to find. We open sourced a number of them. We started with 12, we're up to 14 now, and we'll be adding more. So you can go to developernewrelic.com and you can check out the open source examples here. And once you have the command line interface installed, and we can help you get that set up over at the hacker bar, one of the things you can do is go over and find one that looks interesting. And this session has been a lot about learning our data model and understanding our data model. And so one of the ones that our CEO actually wrote is called Datalyzer. And this is another way to look at and visualize information inside of New Relic. So I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to copy that command and switch over to a terminal, and I'm simply going to paste that in to the terminal. And I have the New Relic One command line installed. And what this is going to do is it's going to go out to GitHub, it's going to grab that repository, it's going to bring all that code down, it's going to bring any dependencies that it needs down along with it, and it's going to get it set up and ready for me to use. So now I can switch into that, and I can then serve that up. And as Jemiah talked about earlier, when we actually run these locally, what happens is a local server gets started up, and New Relic One is smart enough to look for anything locally and load that. And that's what happens when you have this nerdpacks equals local command. So I'm going to copy that, go back to my browser, we'll drop that in. And here we go, I have a new launcher on the screen called Datalyzer. That's the one we just created. So you can see in under 2 minutes, I was able to go out, get code, and extend New Relic with some brand new capability. Let's take a look at what this does. So what Datalyzer is going to do is it's going to allow me interesting ways to look at data. It's going to allow me interesting ways to start exploring data based on the context that I'm in. And this is my data point to myself to turn off the Wi-Fi and use the wired network that's up here. So this is the awkward pause while I tell you about how awesome New Relic One is as we load. There we go. So here we go. So now I can actually slice and dice data across New Relic that's inside of the New Relic database in new and interesting ways that was not necessarily available out of the box. And this is an example of the kind of innovation that you're able to do. And you saw a number of the applications earlier today where we've started looking at the kinds of problems that our customers are solving repeatedly and then implementing them and making them available in open source. And yesterday, as Jemiah led the training course of about 85 or so folks to teach and ramp up on programmability in New Relic One, we've already seen great success with one of our customers building something overnight and deploying it into production. So that was a highlight of the trip for me. All right, and I mentioned the context here in the entity context. Again, I can go back now. Datalyzer shows up. So this is the exact same extension points that we have inside of New Relic One. You can see I can load that, and now I'm browsing the Datalyzer inside the context there. So as we think about the kinds of things that we can do on top of New Relic One, what we really have is this notion of being able to collect data from any source on the planet, right? This is being open right now. We've opened up New Relic data, the NRDB, to collect data metrics from any source, any of the open telemetry sources that we have, as well as all of our agent data. So being open means we have all of this data that drives your digital business inside of New Relic in one place. And we take that data and we connect it. We bring in the logs, the traces. We do all of that so that now as you start to program on top of it, you have access to that data and to unlock the innovation that you have inside of your company. And we hope that you share that innovation and go with us on this journey in open source and contribute to make our ecosystem around New Relic stronger and better.
So we're going to leave you with 3 actions to do today. So one is bookmark one.newrelic.com. Like Mark said, this is going to be your new entry point into New Relic. So bookmark it, use it, tell your friends about it. 2 is use New Relic One dashboards. Like we said, we think it's a superior experience to what's in Insights. All of the functionality is there. Again, everyone today, if you're a current customer, has access to New Relic One. All of your dashboards that you have in Insights are already accessible in New Relic One. You don't have to do anything. So just, since it's already bookmarked, just use New Relic One dashboards. And then 3 is go to developer.newrelic.com and clone one of our open source examples, just like Mark did, way less than 3 minutes.
3 things in 3 minutes.
Yeah, super easy to remember.
Bookmark one.newrelic.com. Use New Relic One dashboards, clone an app, and get massive value out of New Relic One.
Yep. So we wanted to thank you for your time today, and we are going to be at the Hacker Lounge in the NR1 booth over in the demo room if you have questions. And thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.